Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this regular meeting of Quispamsis Town Council for November 4th, 2025. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6 p.m. I would like to add to the agenda one item which we will bump into 8A and bump 8A down to 8B. We have Mr. Colburn here this evening who will talk about 355 Hampton Road. So may I have an approval of that amendment, please?
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Squire?
Yes.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Squire, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 6-0. Looking for the land acknowledgement, a moment of reflection, please, Councillor Bigger.
Thank you. We would like to respectfully acknowledge that Quispamsis exists on the traditional territory of the Wolastoqiyik, Maliseet, and Micmac people, whose ancestors, along with Passamaquoddy tribes, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s. We would like to take this moment to pay respect to the elders, past and present, and the descendants of this traditional territory. And may we remind ourselves of the important work we have before us tonight. May we make good decisions without prejudice or bias, and always in the best interests of our community, which we are here to serve.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. I have a few remarks this evening. On Friday, I joined Mayor Nancy Grant from Rothsay at the launch of the 2025 Poppy campaign at the Quispamsis Legion Branch 058. I received one of the first poppies from Branch President Brian Eisen and was very proud to pin a poppy on veteran Bob B.A. It is quite humbling to participate in this annual tradition, and I encourage everyone to wear a poppy as we recognize and remember all those who sacrificed so much for our freedom. Quispamsis is honored to host this year's official KV Remembrance Day ceremony. The ceremony will take place on Tuesday, November 8th at the Qplex. The Qplex front doors will be open at 9:30 with the ceremony beginning at 10:30. All attendees are asked to be inside and seated by 10:15 a.m. An outdoor community-led Remembrance Day ceremony will also take place at the Cenotaph on the Rothsay Common beginning at 10:45 a.m. Thank you to the Quispamsis Legion Branch 058 and all those involved in making these ceremonies possible. As we begin our meeting tonight, a federal budget is being delivered in Ottawa. We have our own budget discussions tonight on tonight's agenda. In the last few weeks, Council has heard capital and operating budget proposals from staff as we consider the direction of Quispamsis for the next year and beyond. Quispamsis and Rothsay are seeking feedback from residents at the KV Go bus service, which comes to an end on Sunday, November 9th, at the conclusion of its daily run. The 90-day demonstration project saw hundreds of riders utilize a free, accessible, local public transit option in Quispamsis and Rothsay, with stops at various key locations. While this program is concluding, consideration of a long-term transit solution in the Quispamsis Valley remains. We want to hear from riders about their experiences with KV Go. The KV Go ridership survey will remain online through Monday, November 17th. All respondents will be entered into a draw to win a $50 gift card. Visit kvgo.org for more information. Don't forget to have your say on a new look for Hampton Road. After the initial public consultation process and an open house, there are proposed designs for you to consider on the Reimagine Hampton Road project website. Take a look and offer your feedback through the Design Preference Survey. Find a link to the project website by visiting the Your Have a Say page on our website, quispamsis.ca. I hope everyone enjoyed a Halloween in your community despite the windy and rainy conditions earlier in the day. Our trick-and-treat visitors had a wonderful time as the rain held off in the evening. Our Halloween display is being removed from the Arts and Culture Park this week as we prepare to install this year's Holiday Dreamland. Quispamsis and Rossi will be hosting the 27th Annual Kennebecasis Santa Claus Parade on Saturday, November 29th. The parade will commence at 6 p.m. at KVHS and will travel along the Hampton Road to Marr Road, ending at the intersection of Marr Road and Clark Road. A reminder, any community groups, organizations, or businesses who wish to take part in this popular community event may submit an application until Wednesday, November 19th. For more information, visit the KV Santa Claus Facebook page. And finally, a quick safety reminder. As our clocks fell back 1 hour on the weekend, we have returned to Atlantic Standard Time. Right now, some people may be traveling our roads in very little daylight, early morning and early evening. Please be aware of others, and as we all try to reach our destinations safely. Thank you for listening, and we will move now to item number 4, which is disclosure of interest. I don't see any. We do not have presentations this evening, no public hearings. Minutes of the previous meeting, 7A. Councillor Donovan.
Thank you. I'd move that minutes for the October 21st, 2025 regular meeting be approved as presented.
It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Luck on the question. Please vote. Councillor Donovan, are you good? He's good. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item 7B, October 16th, 2025, special meeting. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Donovan.
I'd move that the minutes for the October 16th, 2025 special meeting be approved as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Donovan. It's been moved by Councillor Donovan and seconded by Councillor Olson. Thank you. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, everyone. 8A, unfinished business. Sorry, we're going to Mr. Colburn. Mr. Colburn, 8A would be 355 Hampton Road.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Your Worship, to Council. This item is placed on the agenda. As Council may recall, in October, there's a application or request that came before Council to amend the development agreement for 355 Hampton Road. The current development agreement has a restriction on some outbuildings or accessory buildings that are on the property. It essentially says that once the business stops operating or the land is transferred, then the outbuildings were supposed to come down. The property owner put an application to amend the agreement to allow them to remain on the property. Council did support the application in the manner of saying that we're open to amending the agreement, and that was the motion of Council. What's required to move this forward is because the property is what we would call a Section 59 or a rezoning agreement is on the property, that we actually need a public hearing. So what's being asked of Council tonight is to consider setting a public hearing date, referring the matter to the Planning Advisory Committee, and then notifying residents within 100 meters. Once that motion is passed, we can move forward through the public hearing process and then finalize the actual amendment that would be brought back for execution, and the amendment, if the motion of council is through the public hearing process, to approve the request. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Colburn. Great. So do we have okay, Councillor Bigger? Okay.
Yes, Your Worship, I'll move council refer the application to amend the Section 59 Development Agreement for the property at 355, I don't have my glasses, Hampton Road, PIDs 30220644 and 00250787, thank you, to the Planning Advisory Committee for written views, notify property owners within 100-meter radius, and establish a public hearing date for December 2nd, 2025.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Bigger and seconded by Councillor Luck on the question. Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Moving on to item 8B, the proposed capital budget 2026. And I'm going to go directly to our Chair of Finance, Deputy Mayor Scryer. Deputy Mayor, please.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. So we've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy over the past few meetings discussing and exploring the details of our 2026 budget. So I want to start by thanking our staff for their commitment, for their hard work throughout the process. And creating a municipal budget is no easy task. It takes a lot of analyzing, collaboration, and foresight. I'd also like to thank the Finance Committee and thank each and every councillor around this table for your contribution, your suggestions, and your ideas to make this budget the best we can. Our budget process has many layers. Each department leadership team works closely with their staff to identify priorities, assess needs, and develop recommendations that support the overall goals of our town. That collaboration helps make sure our budget reflects both our long-term direction and the day-to-day realities of running our community. As we move forward, it's important that we stay focused on the overall direction. Our goal is to make sure that we have a budget that aligns with our strategic plan and supports the vision we have committed to as a council and a community. I have confidence in our staff to handle the finer details and to put a plan in action that reflects all of our shared priorities. If we are in agreement that maintaining the current tax rate is our goal, then our focus should be on identifying those adjustments. So with that, to happen, we have to explore more. So I would like to ask my comments be respectfully continued on by our CEO so he can look and give us more conversations on this budget in 2026. Your Worship, would you allow that to happen, please?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Watson, please.
Yes, thank you, Worship, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your comments, and through both of you to the rest of council. I agree, the budgeting process is a multi-layered one. We've had some great discussions on specific to HR, specific to capital, specific to operating. We've had some discussion about how we try to bring that all that together, and then there is some follow-up questions that we answered in writing that I hope is helpful to you. I recognize that that's not the full inventory of all questions that were discussed, but rather ones that I thought either had some outstanding components to them or that we didn't have an opportunity to fully delve into at our meeting last time. So hopefully that's helpful. And I think, to my mind, what I was hearing the most frequently, the theme that seemed to be arising through our discussion last time is a shared interest in keeping the tax rate as it is versus the staff's initial proposal to increase the tax rate modestly. And if that is indeed the primary interest for council, I can offer some reassurance, as I'm sure many of you have done the math already. It can be done. There's no question that it can be done. And in fact, we'd like, in recognition that, or in anticipating that might be your area of particular interest, I had asked staff to help me develop a couple of options for your consideration tonight. And I would offer that both the options that I'd like to bring to you keep the residential tax rate unchanged for 2026. Both options ensure that roads and streets remain priority items with over $12 million allocated for road and street infrastructure in 2026. And both options continue to allow for 2026 investments into other services and amenities that our residents expect and deserve. So my thought would be to just walk you through those options, and then certainly welcome some further discussion and conversation with the goal of passing a budget tonight that addresses those needs, and certainly through further discussion with you, Your Worship. So with that, if you're amenable, I would ask maybe Lisa, if you wouldn't mind passing out the slides that share the options, but Tim, I think you have them also available on screen as well. So if we go to the very first slide, this is really where we were last time. The initial recommendations for an annual spend, capital, a transfer to reserves, a borrowing limit, and proposed change to the residential tax rate. So that first page, initial recommendations, those are the numbers that we were speaking of last time as a result of our recommendations for spending, for capital, for reserves, for borrowing not to exceed 13.2, recognizing that we remain hopeful and in need of federal and provincial support for many of our projects. And finally, that we are proposing initially to increase the tax rate by 2.18 cents. I would note in the proposed capital expense, you see that is 17,503,081. I do have an asterisk there. That is the net amount for our capital budget for 2026 after guaranteed funding. The gross amount, which you'll see in later slides, is 24,159,900. I just wanted to make sure that you saw that difference. So that's where we started from, but again, recognizing the discussion that we had last time, wanted to bring you some options that we feel might better reflect the intentions of council or the interests of council for this year in particular to maintain the tax rate. So option number one, which you see as two rows on the screen in front of you or on the page in front of you, the original offer or the original proposal being the top line and option one being the second. Essentially what this option does is moves less into the general capital reserve in order to maintain the tax rate at its current rate of 1.2599. So certainly a pro of this model is it does that, and it does respect staff recommendations for operational and capital spending in 2026. There's no significant adjustment there, other than the minor adjustments that we spoke of last time, the fire budget change and other minor adjustments that are relatively immaterial. The cons, though, of this one, and I think it's important for us to highlight, it does slow the building of our general capital reserve. We talked about that a bit last time. We do expect that will increase our need to borrow in future years by virtue of not having accumulated as much general capital reserve as was originally planned. And it does require council to direct us to adjust the implementation timeline for the capital reserves policy, because if instead of contributing 2.015611 to general capital reserves as called for in the policy, you would be amending that to contribute 1,473,760. But that is certainly a doable option. It would remain not staff's preferred option, but in recognition of the interest in maintaining the tax rate at 1.2599, that is a way to accomplish that. Option number two does something very similar, frankly. It just splits, though, that capital reserve contribution and operating budget change in order to accomplish the same thing. So here we are keeping the tax rate again at 1.2599. It reduces our capital spending by approximately $113,000. And then it has the same cons. It slows the building of our general capital reserve and require council to direct us to change the implementation timeline of the policy. So this one, instead of it being exclusively a change to capital reserve contribution, this one does split the difference by having mainly a change in capital reserve contribution and a slightly lower 2026 capital budget. I appreciate that that's a lot in a hurry, and maybe the easiest way to look at it is a side-by-side. So there's your next slide, just compares the original staff recommended proposal as a, and together with option one, that makes the full contribution from the, or reduction from the capital reserve contribution, and option two that splits that contribution from capital reserves and the capital budget. So just so you see all three options on a single page. So it would be my hope that council has had opportunity to reflect on our discussions to date, on the answers to the questions that we've provided, on our original recommendation, on your relative interest in maintaining this tax rate, and that either option one or option two is amenable for an approval this evening. And with that, I thank you, Your Worship, and turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. I'll give you a few seconds if you'd like to go over that before you bring your comments forward. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Councillor Bigger.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for providing this update and these options. I do actually agree that there's a general sense growing, certainly, about the value of holding the tax rate, if possible, and practical. I just wondered, with option two, where the $113,000 reduction in capital spending occurs. Thanks.
Mr. Watson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Councillor Bigger and to others. My general comment would be that you could entrust staff to look for and find the $113,000, and that we're certainly willing and able to do that. So that would be my first answer. If council had a particular interest in reducing a particular area, my recommendation would be to consider the council chamber recommendation and to reduce that by that $113,000. But I would prefer for staff to have the flexibility to maneuver within the allocated budget with that reduction in mind.
There's no other question on the floor, so yes.
Thank you. Okay, great, no problem with that. So could I just ask then how that figure is derived? If there's not an actual thing that you know exactly for sure, this is where we'll, sort of find the change in the couch cushions, where did that number, why that and not another figure, I guess, for example?
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Bigger. Yeah, it's a consequence of rounding the capital reserve contribution to be an even $1 million contribution plus the $587,000 exactly for the fire truck. And so it's a balancing effort to get to that 113.
Thank you. I don't see any further comments on this. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
If there's no further comments, I'd be prepared to put a motion on the floor regarding the budget. And that would be, oh, yes.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I would move whereas the current property tax assessment freeze coupled with significant, be it resolved that the town of Quispamsis 2026 proposed budget for the general capital fund be approved as follows. Total operating budget of $38,687,827. Total capital budget of $20,415,900. Total capital borrowing not to exceed $13,200,000, and transferred to general capital reserves of $1,473,760, and the residential tax rate of 1.2599.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So are you talking option one, option two? I'm just trying to figure out where you're at.
Going
Okay.
with option one.
I'm against option one. And option two should be the route we take. And I'd like to see what we're going to reduce by 113,000, because in my opinion, we still have a lot of things in capital that we don't need right now. This should be a need budget, not a want budget. And I know I take flack from my neighbor right here, but we don't need another trail right now. We don't need to do some of these studies that we know.
Councillor Miller, I'm going to stop you there.
Why is that?
Point of order, because we've gone through those discussions, and I don't think that pointing out one individual or one,
It is because I'm telling you why I'm voting against it.
you don't,
You're allowed to do it and everybody else, so I don't know why I'm always stopped and a few of us, so we'll have a talk later.
I think part of it is your presentation, for one thing.
Well, I don't think I was being mean there. I was just telling you why I am against this. I've asked questions that we were supposed to talk about tonight and finalize the budget next meeting, not tonight.
No, I don't believe there's a deadline on next week or this week.
Well, that we were gonna talk anyway, so I'm voting no.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Luck, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess, I guess I'll be voting no. I guess I want to discuss maybe option 2, but, and I appreciate how hard it is to do a budget. I will be voting no on both of these options, and I guess I just wanted to express kind of why. I kind of feel like budget should be the last step after we've decided the what. And even though I appreciate the $113,000 suggested reduction in capital spending, I know that, I think, based on some of the conversations earlier, we know we're going to have a significant amount of capital expenditures over the next number of years when you look kind of long term. So I'm actually not against keeping some money in reserves because we're going to need them. We know we're going to need them. When you look at, the projections that we've, even just to make sure that our engineering and works staff have a place to stay, that's a $12 million project. We know that's happening. So I guess I actually like having some money put aside for capital. But I guess to Councillor Miller's point, I do struggle because I see that there are some things that we could still cut this year that are nice to have, not need to have. And I guess I would, again, from my perspective, I feel like we could do a bit more prioritizing and have a discussion on what those things look like, because I just don't have the confidence that we've actually had those conversations as council in terms of our priorities. So that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Luck. On the question, Councillor Thompson.
Yes, Your Worship. I understand, or I don't understand. I'm sure that everybody has gone over the capital budget and the operating budget with a fine-tooth comb. We've all gone over it. We went over it the last meeting. And what I understood was the stumbling block was to keep the tax rate as it is. That was the whole issue. That's what Councillor Miller said. He wouldn't vote. He would vote against it if we didn't keep the tax rate as it was. So all these options, that's what it's headed towards, is to keep that tax rate as it is. Now, I mean, we could go with the original one and increase the tax rate. But do we go to option 2 or option 1? These are keeping the tax rate as it is. And I don't know if you want to go over the whole budget again, go over the capital, go over the operating, to get to where we are right here. What this motion, or is there a motion? Did somebody make a motion? Yeah. So to get to here, which is what everybody wanted, was to keep the tax rate the way it is. And that's what these options do. So whether you want option 1 or option 2, or you want to go through the whole thing again, because it stays the same, and we're going to get to this at the end of it anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. On the question, Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Yes, Your Worship, I just wanted to say again how much thank you for everybody and everything that's gone into this budget. And that one of the words I said is I have faith in the staff that they know what their budget is. And I believe that option one is a good option because we are maintaining the tax rate and we're giving the staff what they need to run their departments. And I'm not an expert in fields, I'm not an expert in IT, I'm not an expert in HR, but this budget aligns with the strategic plan. And I think it's taken a long time to get here, and I'm happy with the budget, and I think this option one gives us the benefit of both worlds, maintaining the tax rate for our residents, and at the same time, continuing with our standard of service. So I'll be voting yes, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bigger.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to everybody for their honest feedback on this. We have a motion now that sits about which we'll have to vote. But I guess I want to say just a couple of things quickly. One is that I did not presume that by any means that by getting to a seconded, point on the motion that would, sort of disallow expanded discussion on various items that are of particular importance to councillors. So I welcome any discussion that would help us to sort of fine tune or perhaps strengthen our rationale for the decision that we make or help to answer questions that people might have. For my part, I just wanted to say that after we had our special meeting on budget review last week, I sort of spent the weekend pondering the things that I think are most important for us in this fiscal reality that we're currently kind of enduring. And I think that I came to the conclusion personally that for me, there's value in holding the tax rate to the residents. I think that helps at a time that's, tight for people, and it seems like there's a general sense that that's what others might be thinking as well. I don't know. I also think that I agree with the Deputy Mayor. I believe, and this isn't to say that other people don't believe this, okay, but just for me, when I review the budget, I see, and I compare it to previous budgets, I see efforts being made that I believe are in good faith to recognize the financial constraints that we currently endure, and also the guidance of the strategies that we as a council have endorsed, such as master plans, a strategic plan, and so on. Now, that stuff never is done perfectly, of course. And opinions will always vary about what priorities are of the most importance as we go along. And an effort is made to create a strategy and to have these sort of guideposts as we go along. Things that, touchstones we can reference back and say, this is what we said we were going to do. Are we accomplishing that? And I see evidence of efforts made to, recognize that right now, as Councillor Miller says, there's sort of good to have and need to have, and some things we just don't need to have currently. But I do believe that an effort's been made to kind of recognize that, and I think that I feel like comfortable that I can observe those efforts in the budget as it currently stands. And so I guess that's why I'm comfortable with moving ahead. It seemed to me that reducing, albeit Councillor Luck characterizes very well the importance of continued contribution to capital reserves. We ourselves have a policy about that we're going to have to basically commit a variance on in order to move ahead with. But I think that's our recognition, perhaps, of the current fiscal reality, and in an effort to hold the tax rate, fund what we can according to the strategies that have been endorsed by this council along the way, by the various departments. And so that's why I'm comfortable with voting on this option one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Deputy Mayor, I'm going to leave the chair. I would just like to say that each councillor has their own vote, their own mind, and they're capable of reading into and reading the information. The questions have been answered, they've been brought forward, and each vote speaks for your own decision, your personal decision on what you feel is in the best interest of the people that we are here to serve. Yes, we need to put more into capital reserves because we do have many issues coming down the road, particularly through our asset management. And staff, just like the staff at the protective services of fire and police, where they are given a budget and they are sent away and they are asked to bring it back at such and such a percentage, and we don't go through their list of operational equipment that they need or capital equipment that they need. We ask them to make their best decision based on their professionalism. And that's what we have here. We have professional staff who have brought us to this level in this community because we have trusted them. And we're at a point now where we recognize that we have been lagging year after year after year in putting money into reserves. So I do support this budget. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will resume the seat. Councillor Donovan.
Thank you. I have thought a little bit about it. And I too think that option number 2 would have been, in my opinion, a better option for us to go. It reduces it keeps the tax rate the same, which I think we're all in agreement over. But in my own personal opinion, I would have preferred to see the budget reduced even slightly as it would be in option number 2. So with that in mind, you know, by voting no, I'm not trying, it's not my intention to say that I would like the tax rate to go higher. I would like it to stay the same, but I would prefer option number 2. So that's why I would be voting no against option 1. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Donovan. On the question, there's a motion on the table. Please vote. Motion carried 4-3. The nays were Councillor Donovan, Councillor Locke, and Councillor Miller. Thank you, everyone. We are moving now to the utility budget, please, item number 2.
Thank you, Worship, and through you to the rest of council. Just wanted to review with you the proposed budget for the utility accounts as well. And just to reflect that there's no change from our original conversation and discussion recommendation around utility. The total proposed operational expense for utility be $4,413,826. A total proposed capital expense of $4,915,000. There would be a transfer from operating to capital reserves of $838,136, and our total proposed capital borrowing would not exceed $4.25 million. That results in a proposed fixed water rate of $290 per year and water usage rates, as you see there, $1.18.44 up to 96 cubic meters, and the adjusted rate for higher users is 1.8757, and the proposed sewer rate of $600 per year per equivalent user. Certainly, again, happy to have further conversation on utility, but this is the same as what was originally discussed. And not having had any detailed questions for staff with respect to the utility budget would be our suggestion to move forward with approval of the utility budget as presented. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Deputy Mayor Scryer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would put forward a motion that the utility budget be accepted as presented.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Thompson. On the question, seeing there are none, please vote. Thompson. Okay, sorry, Thompson. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item number 3, Consolidated Budget, General, Capital, and Operating 2026. We're covered. Okay, thank you. Moving forward, item number 9, correspondence, 10, bylaws, 11, new business. Sorry. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
And we, number 13?
We are on,
Oh, excuse, sorry. Okay.
11A. Go ahead. Who has it?
Not on though. There we go. Whereas the developer has satisfied the minimum requirements in accordance with subdivision bylaw 035 and the developer's agreement, it would be appropriate for council to grant final acceptance of the Executive Acres Phase 9 subdivision. In addition, we recommend the council approve release of the security bond balance of $44,131.20 to Riverfront Properties Limited.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item B, council final acceptance. Councillor Olson.
Whereas the developer has satisfied the minimum requirements in accordance with subdivision bylaw 035 and the developer's agreement, it would be appropriate for council to grant final acceptance of Maple Ridge Estates Phases 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, and 3B. In addition, we recommend that council approve the release of $61,278.83 bonding to Rugged Residential, Inc.
It's been moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Donovan, and we're on the question going to hear from Mr. Colburn, please.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, Worship, to council. Just recommending that there be a slight alter change to the motion in that subsequent to this staff report being written, we did become aware of an issue with 2A. It's related to sufficient access to get to a stormwater pond and the infrastructure. It needs to be widened. So if we could exclude that one from this particular motion, and the remainder is fine. So it would be phase 2A. Thank you, Your Worship.
So we will strike 2A from the motion. Is that amenable to? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Colburn. On the question, please, Councillor Miller, please.
I just want to be clear, so if we scratch 2A, we still release the funds. That's, I'm just trying to, because the motion is to release funds.
We would, through Your Worship, we would adjust the funds accordingly. So it's strike 2A plus adjustment to the release of securities.
So it'd be proportionally moved.
Yeah,
out.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Thank you. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. Item number 12, reports there for your review. Item number 13, Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to move that council appoint Leah Estee to the position of Town Treasurer, effective November 5th, 2025.
Thank you. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question. Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you.
Congratulations again.
And I am looking for a motion for adjournment. Councillor Olson. Moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, everyone. I would just like to, Tim, could you turn us